Hey there guys, it's me Rowwie here, and this is Rowwie's Dream Team video for round 8. Now we're getting straight into the round preview straight away in my video. It's going to be Geelong versus Collingwood on a Friday night. It's the grand final rematch, but it doesn't really matter for us because there won't be that high scoring statistics wise in this game because a lot of people won't be getting high possessions. It'll be a very scrappy game, but it will be, your main people in this game will be Sidebottom and Swan and Pendlebury. Swan's probably the only captain choice in this game. For Geelong, you'll be looking at Joel Selwood and James Kelly as a couple of unique players. Steve Johnson and Paul Chapman have been playing well over the last couple of weeks, but they're not going to be a captain choice for you. So getting on to the next game on the Saturday afternoon, Port Adelaide versus North Melbourne. There's no one really to pick in that game, any fantasy relevance except maybe Brett Harvey and Hamish McIntosh that we're going to be talking about later on in the show, but that's about it for that game. So down in Tassie, Hawthorn are playing Fremantle as the next game. There's a huge amount of Hawthorn players that everyone would be having a look at in Franklin and Mitchell and Hodge as your captain opportunities, and other players like Suckling and Birch in your back line and Roughhead in your rucks. But in Fremantle's team, you've got a return to form from Pavlich. It's awesome that he's coming back from his poor form. Sandilands last week got a good score. Getting on to the next game, Sydney versus Melbourne. There is no fantasy relevant players in that game, maybe except Ryan O'Keefe for Sydney. And for Melbourne, there isn't really anybody there except James Magner, the Magnet. So the next game is going to be Richmond versus Essendon at the Dreamtime at the G on the Saturday night. There's lots of players in Essendon to watch out for. Brett Stanton, he could be one of your captain choices. He is in Rowwie's captains if you haven't seen that already. Check the video out, it's in the links in the description, so check that out. But Brett Stanton, Jobe Watson, David Zaharakis is another one to pick. On the Richmond side, there will be Brett Deledio, he's coming back to a bit of form. Nathan Foley is a unique player. Rigg is another one. And that's about it for that. That's it for that game. So the other game on the Saturday night that everyone will be paying attention to will be Western Bulldogs versus Gold Coast. That game is going to be very watched because it's going to be Gary Ablett versus Matthew Boyd. Matthew Boyd #1 captain this week, and Gary Ablett #3 on my Rowwie's captains. Again, if you haven't watched that, go back and watch. It's only a short 2-minute video. So Ablett versus Boyd. That's about it for that game. On to the Sunday. The early game is going to be Brisbane Lions versus the Gold Coast. Versus GWS. It is going to be an early game there, so GWS players that you're going to be looking at will be your players that will be upgrading in price over the next couple of weeks with Green, Giles and Caniglio. On the other side of the game, Brisbane Lions, they pretty much haven't got much except for Jed Adcock in the back line. Their rucks aren't really that effective, and their midfield is pretty alright, except in midfield they've got Rockcliffe, who should accumulate the ball in this game and could get you a good score. So Now, next game we're going to look at is going to be Carlton versus Adelaide. These two teams are going to be up in the top 8 this year, so there's going to be some pretty good scorers. There is rumours that Chris Judd might not play this week. This could be a huge loss for Carlton, and it could affect their dream team players of Murphy and Scotland and Gibbs. They all might get affected because they're not getting the ball out from Judd, so maybe that could affect your players' scores. But on the other side, Adelaide, their players would be Tippett, Dangerfield, and easily a captain's pick, Scott Thompson. He is a huge player and he can score huge scores. Their team has been left out this week with Walker having a 2-week suspension. That could affect their team in the long run, not having a huge full forward like Walker to score the goals. That could affect their team, and maybe some of their players could go, some of their midfielders would go forward in that game. So getting on to the last game of the round, West Coast versus St Kilda on the Sunday afternoon. It's in Perth, so it's going to be a late start, but that's alright. West Coast have got Nick Nat Nui coming back this week, hopefully. He's a good fantasy option. Dean Cox is a great captain opportunity because he will dominate West Coast. He will dominate for West Coast against St Kilda when they've got no McAvoy. Their ruckman's pretty much Jason Blake and Kaczynski. So he could have a field day there. And when I come back, I will do news of the week. Hey there guys, I'm back, and now I'm going to be talking about the news of the week. And this week there has been huge discussion about Brandon Ellis's score. It wasn't because he got a huge score, it was because he got a tiny score of 6. And that has destroyed his price down 20,000, and a lot of coaches, a lot of pain because they had him on the field instead of Stephen Morris. If you had them two on your bench and you chose Ellis over Morris, and Morris scored 74 and Ellis scored you 6. So a lot of coaches are this week thinking of trading out Ellis to a mature age player from Fremantle, Lee Spur. He's about 114,000. He has played 3 games now. This will be his 4th game if he plays one this week. The last 2 weeks the last 2 weeks he had 1 sub vested to a score of 29, and then last week he had a non-sub affected game and he got 69. So if he can not get the vest, he should be able to get you a good score of around 60 to 70, maybe even 80 points if he has a good game down in Launceston. So getting to the next bit of the news this week is Hamish McIntosh from Kangaroos, and what will everyone be doing with him? He's only out maybe 1 to 2 weeks, so if, like everyone maybe should have, if they don't, put Giles into your second ruck. If you have Giles on your bench, you can just put McIntosh on the sideline and not even worry about it, and just put him back in next week and he should score you a good score next week. And now I'd like to just thank everyone on my Facebook page for liking it. I'm liking all the comments that we're getting on the page. It's starting to build up a bit now. This week I'm going to try and aim for over the weekend to get over 100 likes on my page. So if you could see this video, tell your friends about it. Tell them about my YouTube. I also have Twitter that will be on in the description underneath this video, and it should be on my Facebook page as well, Rowwiees Dream Team. So I'd just like to thank everyone, and hopefully that we can do well this week and get a good score. So